My name is Steven, CEO and co-founder of Campus Inc. We're going to have a little bit of fun. I know this is the last talk before happy hour, so bear with me. I like to laugh a lot. I like to poke fun at things. I hope my humor doesn't offend you. Marshall's a great sport, takes it on the chin. I come up to him when I stand next to him on his chin, so if I say something kind of weird, funny, laugh, don't laugh, that's totally okay. Okay. How are you all feeling today? I was trying to figure out how to put all of my feelings about DTF on one page.
Yes.
Okay. There's a lot of feelings, right? Some of you might align with some of these different emotions every single day. For me, it changes like every 24 hours, right? And I think we just have to acknowledge that. We don't have to fight it. This is a brand new industry, and it's not easy, right? When new technology is thrown into the United States that has never been used before, that's in another language, where there's new supply chain, new challenges, new everything, it should feel hard. And so the goal is hopefully that this isn't a therapy session, but hopefully we can turn some of those feelings around and give you more confidence in what you do and why you do it, right? And I'll talk a little bit about my journey with DTF, journey into the industry, where we've kind of transitioned and those kind of things. But I just kind of want to pull the room and ask a couple of questions. So who here owns a heat press? All right, cool. Who here owns a DTF machine? Awesome, I'm with you. I feel your pain sometimes. Who doesn't own a DTF? Okay. Who's here to buy one? Okay, who here has bought one already at the show? Congratulations, welcome to my hell. Who here is a screen printer? All right, that's our tribe, hell yeah. Embroider, cool. Who here is a one-man band, single entrepreneur? Cool, awesome. A woman, one-woman band, sorry, excuse me. Who here prints out of their house? Garage, okay. Who here has over 5 employees? Okay, cool. Who here runs a clothing line? Anyone run a clothing line? Anyone run a clothing line for others? Okay. Anyone here on Shopify, Etsy, Amazon? Who here has a brick and mortar store? Cool.
I just closed it down.
Just closed it down, wise man. I just opened one 3 weeks ago. Okay. Who here thinks about the Roman Empire? Every guy in the room, of course. Because whoever was naming these machines, they were thinking about the Roman Empire. Probably watched a little too much 300 or Jurassic Park during COVID. I don't know how they name these machines. Prehistoric animals, gladiators and raptors and mongoose, and I already go to war with my machine every day. Like, I don't want it to kill me. But anyways, I think the industry is extremely fascinating because you see a lot of different companies like popping up kind of out of nowhere, trying to make a name for themselves, trying to name their machine the next best animal, painting it a different color, those kind of things. And I probably have developed a little bit of reputation in the DTF industry. I am pretty vocal because I would call myself like an early adopter, where I'm quick to try a lot of different technology and break it. I'm on the Print Hustlers podcast, if you listen to it. And I'm okay to call it out exactly how it is, because this printing industry, it's a community, and we're all here to help each other, support each other, lift each other up. It's not a Facebook group where we can bully each other. I have the mic, I'm allowed to do that today. I'm just kidding. But, it's one of those things where there have been companies that have come and go that I've worked with. There have been companies that might think I'm a few screws loose. There are companies that might call me names. But I guess the companies in charge gave me the mic, and could probably buy your machine from them because they put me here. But anyways, I don't want to name names or different companies or different things like that. I just want to share the experiences that I've had along the way and the observations that I've made, how it's affected my business, how it's hurt my business, how it's affected my life, how it's affected my employees' well-being, right? And different things that we've learned along the way and why we got to where we're at. And so what we're seeing right now is that there's a room full of early adopters. When a new technology is thrown into the universe, there's a small amount of people that are going to innovate on it. The DTF Superstores of the world, the Supacolors of the world, the 618 Transfers of the world, right? First to market, they're gonna be there first, and they're gonna start innovating in the space. And then comes us, the early adopters. We're gonna be their first customers, right? And essentially, we're gonna be a little bit of their guinea pigs. And so the cool part is we are all early adopters here. I have a lot of friends in the printing industry. I have a text group of like 20 different shops, and all of them buy transfers every single day. I'm the only one with a machine, and they're just sitting eating popcorn, kind of laughing and saying, we'll just wait, right? We'll just wait. And that's really interesting, because there's Facebook groups of 50 to 100,000 people of people buying machines left and right. Right? And so I think it's just important to understand kind of where you're at on this chart. We're risk takers in the room. We're trying something new. We're early adopters, and there's a certain type of person or business that works for. Let's get into it. Where I think this industry is going. In 2010 was the first VidCon, and that was in Los Angeles. In a hotel, and there were 1,400 people there. This is like 4 years after YouTube launched, okay? Today, Paramount, Viacom owns VidCon. There's 55,000 attendees there, and that's where YouTube creators and TikTok creators from all around the world come together to do this. And so I think it's pretty cool just to acknowledge the fact that you are at the first of something in our space. But my challenge to you is, when this comes 13 years from now, make sure you're still in this room, right? Make sure you're still in this room, and make sure the business that you run and the business that you build allows you to keep coming back every single day. Because the creators that went to the first VidCon, I don't know if they went to the VidCon in the last year, right? And as a community, it's really important that we support each other, support each other's businesses, but we survive and we last. But I think it's just an interesting thing. Like, how is it that 13 years ago was the first YouTube conference, right? Like, just kind of blows my mind a little bit. So I should probably tell you a little bit about myself to give you some credibility so you don't think I'm just some idiot with a mic. So I own Campus Inc. We are a merchandise platform for college students and college athletes. We work with universities and build them platforms so every single one of their athletes can sell their officially licensed collegiate apparel and make money along the way. Have you ever heard of all this NIL stuff in the news? It passed in 2021. July of 2021, and I launched something the day after. I bought the domain name literally like the day it happened. Our company does a few different things as decorators. We sell online and we sell in bulk. We have approximately 100 universities that we are licensed with. We support today 9,000 athletes. We have 300 students that work for us. They sell into the fraternities and the sororities, so we're really big in the Greek system. We recently, in January, crossed $1 million in payouts to athletes, which is a big milestone for us. We've signed just about every big athlete in the space. We have a private label sublimated jersey that we bring in, and it's sold in bookstores around the country. We manage over 100 different Shopify accounts. We have kiosks in bookstores where we let our retailers actually heat press our products for their customers. We have about 90 employees, 15 of them are not in the United States. I wouldn't be able to do this alone. I have a really, really killer team around me. And we got a little bit lucky and got an investment from Mark Cuban. So that doesn't suck. And he was able to help propel us into this space. We recently raised almost $4 million of capital, and our business has kind of transformed over the last couple of years. I'm not here to tell you how to do that. I'm on a crazy different rocket ship in a crazy different land doing a bunch of different things. But the fundamentals of my business are that we are rooted in education, we turn our customers into partners, we give our partners a seat at the table, we leverage generational differences, we develop people, and we just so happen to sell decorated merchandise. And so as you're thinking about your business today, I want you to start crafting your own story and your own niche and what's making you special and you different. I didn't know anything about the NIL space 2.5 years ago. Now I'm an expert in it because our business has demanded it. And so you never know when that luck is going to catch or that you're going to have that break. I had that a couple years ago. I was super, super fortunate for it. And so as I talk about my story and some of the things that have happened, a lot that's happening in our industry you should be able to relate to. So here's what's interesting. Screen printers. Who here started in their garage? Like, yep. Oftentimes when someone comes to us and says, I want to learn to screen print, I'm going to buy a kit, and I'm going to learn how to burn screens and do all this stuff. Most screen printers will be like, good luck. Call me when you're trying to figure out how to burn a screen. It's a nightmare. And oftentimes we might even encourage them to do it, so they'll take the crap orders that we don't want. But really we want them to feel the pain and suffering that we went through of our early days. I was fortunate that I joined a screen printing company, so it wasn't as bad for me, but any screen printer knows they went from a touring musician to printing in their basement. Now they own a printing company, right? And so there was a high barrier to entry. You still had to learn this. You had to buy this kit. You had to go on YouTube. You had to figure it out. It's hard to do multiple colors. It wasn't easy. But then when a 19-year-old comes to you and says, Steven, I bought shirts, I bought transfers, and I bought a heat press, and now I can make my own merch, that's where I'm like, uh-oh. That was a little too easy for you to do. And what has happened again in our industry is the barrier to entry, the drinking age, if you will, of getting into the apparel industry has lowered. And what's happening is this is what we call the creator economy, if you will. And so there's this really funny graphic that my friend Alan Hodson made from Proper Print Shop of what he depicted happening in the industry is everyone trying to kill everyone and not knowing what's going to come next. And I thought this is pretty clever. I cannot take credit for it, but it is hilarious. But really what I'm concerned about is the creator economy, right? The fact that a 19-year-old can go on Dali, design merchandise, design some pretty killer art, right? Figure out a way to order transfers or put them on Printful.com, set up a Shopify store, make a TikTok, and next thing you know, they're a sensation and a company. Does that scare the crap out of you? It scares me because I'm part of this established printing community where I have all these customers and I have a lot of employees. My payroll is really high. And I'm like, whoa, if we're not careful and we don't keep innovating and we don't create a moat around ourselves and we don't keep delivering, this industry is for the taking, right? And that happened in the digital offset world. I don't know it too well, but you think of a company like Sticker Mule. Anyone here use Sticker Mule? Scary how easy it is to order stickers. ChatGPT, you can actually order stickers on there, and Sticker Mule has developed a tool where you can literally talk to it and say, I want stickers, and it'll order them for you. And so this is happening this is happening around us. But what we need to do is just understand it and make sure it doesn't pass us by too quickly. We have to jump on the bandwagon. We have to know that the Gen Xers or whatever this next generation is, this is the only thing they know. This is the only thing they know. They were trained with this. This is easy for them. I'm 32 and I can't make a TikTok and I'm just not good at it. And so the best TikToks in our company are made by the 21 and 22-year-olds, right? These are the tools that they've grown up with. And so I'm really nervous about this creator economy because it could disrupt us. For some of you, you might be creators in the room that are getting into the space this way. right? So here are my assumptions that I want to perhaps agree upon. These are things that are happening every single day. And I hope as a room we can agree on these assumptions. Transfers have lowered minimum order quantities. Do we all agree upon that? Cool. Transfers solve color count issues, right? You can do high colors, no issues. Transfer quality every day is increasing. Transfers are getting better and better every single day. We all agree upon that? Buying transfers is easier every day, right? Ninja, super easy to buy them, right? Learning DTF becomes easier every day, right? The education is getting better, there's more resources, there's conferences like this, and so as time progresses, it's gonna be an easier industry to learn. The quality of machines is increasing, right? They're getting more stable, they're getting more consistent. Can we all agree upon that? Okay. I have one of every type of machine and a graveyard of a bunch of other ones, and so we can talk about that another day. If I can get 4 days in a row of all of them running, that's amazing. More DTF machines are being purchased every single day. Is that a fair assumption? Right? I bet you the ports in Long Beach and New York and stuff, DTF machines are coming in by the droves, right? More users are joining the DTF community each day. Can we all agree upon that? These Facebook groups are crazy, right? And every single day, the competition is increasing a little bit more, okay? I just posted in one of the Facebook groups 5 minutes ago of I need transfers in Phoenix. Can anyone help me? Should we see how many comments are on there? I'm really curious. We are at 5 comments, and I posted 34 minutes ago of people trying to sell me transfers. Okay? I was talking to Andy from DTF Superstore. I said, how many machines do you think are in the United States? And he said, could be anywhere between like 8 and 10,000 units. There's 14,000 McDonald's in the United States, right? There's 6,000 Walgreens, okay? And so what's actually happening is, you know, speed, quality, experience, supply, all of that stuff is going up. The barrier to entry is going down. Costs are going down. Demand will level out. I know there's like a gold rush right now for transfers because a lot of screen printing is transitioning to DTF, but eventually that will level out because there's only like so many shirts that are needed in the United States or whatever that might be, right? And so what's gonna start to happen is what we call like a race to the bottom, where you start printing for your neighbor because you're trying to pay off your machine, okay? I'm sorry to say, but if I started a pharmacy next to Walgreens, I'd be really scared because Walgreens is going to beat you. And that customer that you're selling to is gonna eventually realize, wait a second, they're faster, they're easier, they're quicker, they're more consistent, and that's the Amazon effect of the world. And so I see this happening in a very, very saturated market. And so I think it's very important that we're conscious of that to make sure that the decisions you're making or the equipment that you're financing or buying, if it's your first piece of equipment and it's your first time being an entrepreneur, you don't want that to be a negatively life-changing experience. We went into entrepreneurship to be liberated, to be free from having a 9-to-5, and what can end up happening is you actually get handcuffed to a 24/7. Right? Because you're just trying to feed it and you're taking any single job you possibly can and you're competing with some of these huge companies that are innovating faster than you would ever believe. They're working on stuff, you know, light years ahead of us, right? And I say this because, you know, I look at what happened at YouTube, right? YouTube in 2005, to upload a video was so hard. Right, you had to take it on your Nikon Coolpix, put it into an SD card. I think you can only upload 3 minutes at a time. You know, and no one really understood, like, well, is anyone really going to use this, right? And then what started to happen is YouTube got acquired by Google. They realized that people were starting to consume content that way. In about 2012, they started going to professional sports teams, NFL, MLB, and saying, hey, you should probably get on this. And MLB, NFL, and these pro teams said, no one's going to use this. No one's going to watch sports on this thing. We have TV, right? And sure enough, what's happened is this creator economy has completely disrupted one of the most stable industries in the telecom space, right? And in 2023, if you want to start a YouTube channel, it's really easy. In 2023, if you want to create content, it's really easy. Anyone can do it from their fingertips. But as it becomes easier, it's harder to become relevant, right? It's harder to go viral. It's harder to do those things. And if you got in at the ground floor and you were good, well, that's why Mr. Beast is one of the most famous people in the world, right? And so because technology is evolving so quickly, and making it so easy for everyone, right? You have to work harder now to try to make a name for yourself. And that's why, you go to, sports teams might have 4 or 5 people that are just making TikToks and highlights and reels, and there's influencers and monetization strategies, right? And you have to pay for ads and all that stuff. You're competing with some big fish. And so it's just a little bit harder. And I don't say that as a warning, I say that as we should just be conscious of something like that happening. Now, where else does that happen? On Etsy. Anyone here sell on Etsy? Okay. Have you been on Etsy for a long time?
2 years.
2 years. Getting on Etsy, what was your first 50 sales like? Was it pretty easy to get? Was it hard to get?
It was difficult for me.
Yeah. What'd you have to do?
After submitting my product on Etsy, then I probably would go to other platforms and be like, hey, check out my Etsy store. And that was like my, please come check it out.
Right.
And then after I got a couple sales and then I looked at other people doing the same thing, I was like, man, I need to maybe look at my pricing.
Right.
So it was almost like Etsy's still.
Etsy's hard.
It's still, yes.
Etsy's hard. 5 years ago, there were Live, Laugh, Love shirts. Now there's 1 million Live, Laugh, Love shirts on Etsy, right? And so, yes, Etsy made it really easy to sell stuff. But because this rush came to it, now it's harder. Now you have to pay for ads to get surfaced to the top. There's high transaction fees. So you have to be very, very careful, right? And we're seeing this in other places. We see it on Instagram. We see it on TikTok Shop. We see it on Shopify. We're seeing this everywhere, and it's just technology evolving around us. It is what it is. And so in my business, these are some of the guiding principles that I think it takes to win. Okay, when we took on an investment from Mark Cuban, that is cool. It's fun. There's a lot of pressure with that. He will email us at random times, and you can't not answer a billionaire. But he wants us to last. That was his biggest message, is make sure you last. And so to win in business, I have 5 points. You have to have an unfair advantage in acquiring customers. Something that makes you so different that customers will come to you really, really easily for a reason that's unknown or unfair to everyone else. I'll give you an example in the NIL space. We build our platform for the universities. The universities then take all of their athletes, put them in a room and say, hey, here is your merch platform, sign up before you leave. If you want to get into the NIL space right now, have some fun, because the university is working for me because it makes them look better for their athletes. That's my unfair advantage in acquiring customers. You have to build a defensible moat, okay? Back to the Roman Empire. Alligators, right? They say a business becomes very valuable if it is moat-worthy, meaning if it can get attacked from all angles and still be just fine. Right? And so if you're selling to other people and you're selling transfers to other people, be careful, because as loyal as they are, it's an oversaturated market and they could eventually go somewhere else, right? So you want to build a defensible moat. You want to make your business stick, okay? And so there's the one and dones and there's the stuff that's repeating, right? For us, we know our business is sticky because every year there's brand new college athletes that come into the sporting space, right? And so there's a flywheel there where it'll continue to get better. Make it profitable. We always forget about this last. And make it profitable for yourself, okay? A lot of times when entrepreneurs go into business, they forget about their worth. they're like, I'll buy the machine, I'll do it myself. And what you actually sometimes start doing is you put your value at a $12, $14, $15 an hour employee, right? And yeah, you're saving 20 bucks an hour, but you just put a price tag on your job instead of going to find more sales, right? Because that's what really the owner should be doing, is growing the top line of the business, not being handcuffed to their machine. And that's not what I call profitable, right? Just go get a $20 an hour job if that's what you want to do, right? And then finally is outlast your competition. Companies are going to come and go. They're going to splash and dash. You're going to find the greatest, coolest, shiniest things. The ones that outlast their competition are the ones that win. And that's what I think, for me, is one of the hardest parts, because I see this big shiny object in this NIL space, and I'm just like, I just have to last. I just have to last. Our business is fueled by venture capital investment. They want us to spend money as fast as possible and grow as fast as humanly possible. We launch one school a week, almost 300 athletes a week, 9,000 athletes on our platform, 7 SKUs. Think about how many art mock-ups that is, okay? But we do it. And so what I was trying to solve was this in my business. I think it's important when you make a business plan or you start thinking about business, you're like, what am I solving for? What am I solving in the industry? What am I solving for? Why did I get into this? I got into this because I saw an opening. And I saw that opening, and I'm like, if I can just crack this, I'll have a solution that wins. And so my problem that I was trying to solve was, how do I quickly customize apparel and jerseys on demand for college athletes? We started at the University of Illinois. We had about 10 athletes there. I ordered all my transfers from Supacolor. We had their names and their numbers. We kept them on the file. When someone ordered online, we would just press it on the back and ship it out. And then we got to 100 athletes. And I'm like, oof, I do not want to stock transfers for that many kids. And so I decided to take a plunge into a machine, right? And then we got to 1,000 athletes. I'm like, okay, we'll buy more DTF machines. But the problem is, when those things go out, you still have to run. And so every single day at Campus Inc., we order transfers. Every single day. It's our insurance policy. And so if we get in 1,000 orders overnight, we'll print 800 of them on our machines. We'll probably order a couple hundred of them. In case something goes down, we always want to have them kind of in our back pocket, right? And then you see the word outsource, okay? Who here uses Printful? Okay, I spend about $500,000 a year at Printful. They are an extension of my business. They give me width and length to be able to sell into markets that I wouldn't be able to sell into, right? They give me a global reach. They're able to DTF and DTG on demand, right? And they don't put a strain or stress on my business. And so we outsource every single day, right? Well, we print a lot of it in-house. And then as we got to 10,000 athletes, now it's just starting to scale this problem. Now we have technology problems, and that's where we have engineers working on, how do you pay out 10,000 athletes every 2 weeks? Most 19-year-olds don't know their routing number and account number forward and back. So every week a report comes out with how many payments failed. That's the fun that we're dealing with now. And so as I think about business and going into new technology, I thought about, what are things that I can't negotiate with, and what are things that I can negotiate? I'm going to test out a bunch of different companies, try some different vendors, and we're going to see how things go. We'll go down this journey together. I said, I can't mess with my customer and fan experience. If Ohio State is giving me their right, I cannot mess that up. I got one shot. Right? Cannot mess it up for their fans. Can't mess it up with players and their parents and stuff like that. I don't want to mess with how much I make our athletes. That's different about us, is we pay our athletes really well, and I didn't want to mess with that. Couldn't mess with quality. Now, some would say DTF isn't as good as screen printing. I was okay with that. But peeling, things like that, washing, that's a non-negotiable for me. Right? If we're shipping out that many products every single day, you can imagine the disaster that had happened. It had happened a couple times, and I'll talk about it. And then things that I can't negotiate around are turnaround time and speed. If in screen printing I order shirts from SNS, they're here tomorrow. right? I couldn't be working with a distributor that would take me 5 days to get stuff, forget to take it to UPS, and maybe send me a print head replacement when I needed one. I need things fast. So those were my non-negotiables. My negotiables were cost. I'm okay paying a premium if it's good. We go to Starbucks every day. If it's good and easy, we pay a premium. Method. I was okay with different methodologies of how we were going to do it. We could try some different things. We could do some hybrid, and I'm okay with manual work. Right? Everyone's like, "How did you create so much art manually?" Right? How did you skew all of that into Shopify manually? Right? We're okay with manual work. It doesn't faze us at all. And so, you know, as I walked kind of into the DTF world, I was approached by a company that said they have a powderless DTF unit. Okay, it's not for sale in any of the booths, if that's a testament to if powderless DTF worked or not. But I said, you know what, let's do it. I'm going to put you on the podcast. We're going to do a bunch of stuff. We'll record videos. I'm all in. Day one, machine arrives, killer, love it. Everything's going super well. Day two, texted all of my printing friends. This is transformative. This is amazing, guys. You all need it. Day three, my good friend Justin Lawrence from Oklahoma Shirt Company is like, hey, I have a rush order. I don't want to DTG these 25 shirts. They're like 6 different designs. Can you just ship me transfers? And I'm like, hell yeah, man. I got you. Printed all of them, shipped it to them, and he didn't call me the next day because none of them stuck. And that's when I learned I will never print transfers for someone else, because it's one thing to mess up your own work. It sucks to mess up your friend's work. Sucks. Sucks, sucks, sucks. And what I learned about a powderless DTF unit is that it puts down clear adhesive. Well, if you've ever watched clear adhesive dry, you don't know when it stops printing clear adhesive because it's clear. And so I'm like, this isn't going to work. I can't even tell when it's failing. And finally, when I started sprinkling powder on it, literally by hand, I'm like, oh, we got to do this, right? And so that was a little bit of a disaster. But what was probably worse of a disaster is I had like 20 people from the industry buy the same machine and get stuck with it. And now you hurt my friends. And that's when I'm going to just be mean. Because you can hurt me, don't mess with my friends, right? And you know, at the same exact time, we decided to email Mark Cuban, and he gave us an investment. So now I don't have anything that works. Billionaire wants to write us a check. It's January 1, it's basketball season. I have schools trying to knock at our door saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. And you can't DTG on polyester. I can't order that many transfers in. And so, you know, what do you do when you blow a bunch of money and mess up for 60 days? You go spend another $30,000 on another piece of equipment, right? And so my good friends at DTF Superstore, Andy set us up with a machine. And the cool part about that is he picked up his phone, or he always had someone on his team kind of answering and helping me out. Now, that was a 4-headed Raptor, if you will. I don't think that machine is made anymore, it's retired. But it worked for the first couple weeks, and then we were having alignment issues. Anyone here have alignment issues? Okay. And what we discovered was there was a defect in the tension bar that was throwing us all of our stuff. And so I said, Andy, he's like, here, I'm shipping you a 2-headed machine, just hold on to that one, right? And that instantly to me was a good thing that a company did. If you can admit that you have made a mistake, or you can admit that something's not perfect, but you can make up for it, man, you've got my trust, right? You've got my trust. And so, you know, after that point, Andy shipped me a new one. We started running with it. And look, I've replaced every single part on that machine. Who here thinks they're an awesome DTF tech? Yeah, I can replace fuses, I can replace, you name it, print heads, dampers, lines, we can do bulbs, we can do the augers, encoder strips, oh yeah, encoder strips, easy, right? But I knew that going in, we were gonna have to learn how to be techs on this machine. And as Andy was kind of growing DTF Superstore, I could tell they were also building out their resources as quickly as possible, and education as quickly as possible, and customer service as quickly as possible. And we pushed them, and we pushed them hard. Because again, I can't mess around in the big leagues, right? And that was a commitment where, you know, if something goes viral overnight, we can't miss. And there's no one else out there that's gonna do it, right? And so we put a lot of pressure on them. Now, you only know how much you appreciate something when you don't have it. And so as DTF Superstore was kind of growing and growing, I was like, I'll test out another company. Why not? And so we brought in I don't know, American Warrior, Gladiator, or something like that. I don't even know what it was called. And everything was beautiful out of the gates, promised everything. We're gonna take amazing care of you. We're gonna do all this stuff. And if you decide to work with Steven, you know I'm picky, you know I have OCD about things, and I demand a lot. I do. But I also spend a lot of money too. And the first day, they were 2 hours late on the install. That was my first red flag, right? And then colors weren't profiling right, and they wouldn't take my ideas. I'm like, guys, I think it's this, right? I think it's this. And they're like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, no, I'm the know-it-all, you're not. And then a couple weeks later, we finally got it running, and the dryer started going out. Your power's wrong. I guarantee you my power's not wrong. I have literally like an electrician in here every other day. Our power's clean. Something kept tripping inside the machine. Couldn't get the dryer to run. We're on day 90, and I still can't get a full day of this thing running. I'm like, dude, we just need to break up. We just need to break up. Like, this isn't working. I'm like, just give me my money back, give me something back, take your stuff and go home, get out of here. And the reason we went with them is because they were close, they were local, they were gonna be able to support us, all this good stuff. And I was literally spending my nights and weekends with this thing. And if you bring up the word DTF around my wife, she'll be like, oh, you don't wanna see him on his bad days when those things aren't running. Right? It literally had an effect on my life and my livelihood. And this is where my friends in my text group are like, yeah, we'll just keep hearing your horror stories for a little bit longer. But I kept pushing and pushing, because as this happened, my business was starting to really, really, really boom. And by boom, I mean we went from 5 million to 10 million. We'll be at about $20 million of run rate in the next 12 months. And so I kind of have to look like a little bit of an idiot because I'm riding this as hard as I possibly can, right? They finally gave me my money back. They dropped off a check. They picked up their equipment, took it to the bank. They canceled their check.
Wow.
Probably not good if you run a printing podcast. All right, and so today, our machines are humming. 2 of my employees run these things nonstop. They eat, sleep, and breathe with them. We have our humidity dialed. They are purring, and we love it. It took 18 months to get there, right? And as a result of it, the industry has grown and gotten better and better and better. There's training now, there's education now, there's ways that you can have a tech come and install things for you that wasn't available early on, right? But what we're really, really starting to see, and this is what's the most important, is the supply chain gap is closing. Okay? Normally you'd have to get raw materials, go through a supplier, manufacturers, distributors, retailers to the end consumer. What DTF has done has cut out quite a few middlemen, and it's essentially bringing raw materials closer to the consumer, right? And so I see this as a viable threat. I'm worried about the schools that I print for. What's gonna happen when a mom goes and buys a DTF for the school? Can't blame her. What's going to happen when the Dallas Mavericks just have a DTF machine in the basement of whatever center they play at, right? What's going to happen when that happens, right? It's easier every single day, and these companies, they're not dumb. They're going to do what's economical. Now, before, you couldn't get big screen printing presses and do all this stuff. Now, you can see how small the footprint of these are. And so I saw this. We work with bookstores all across the country, and I said, we got to figure this out because they're going to catch on. And so what we decided to do was actually go to our retailers and say, we have all the licenses, we have all the players, we have everything on our database. I'm going to sell you the transfers, I'm going to sell you the blank shirts, I'm going to sell you the heat press, and I'm going to sell you the kiosk so you can select, so you can have that in your retail store. And so the way we push this another level further is now our retailers have all of the equipment that we have, right, in our business that we're using every single day, and now I'm just supplying them transfers. Now, legally, they have to buy transfers from me because of licenses and stuff, so I'm protected. But last week at Purdue, top team in the nation, a retailer decided to put in a 1-year lease, put all of our stuff in there, put all of our blank shirts in there, and now I'm not heat pressing, I'm just sending transfers and blank shirts to my partners. And my goal, my vision, the way that I see this is I want this in every stadium across America. And so, you can just start to see how rapidly this is going to move and grow. And the best part is the retailers are like, hey, Steven, we're not stuck with inventory. I'm like, yeah, I told you, right? How many more transfers you need, right? And so now I'm selling transfers to them, and they have to buy them from my catalogs. And so, I say that because I saw another little opening. I was like, if anyone can heat press, I might as well give them the heat press, right? And so I think about the same as you're thinking about your business. Like, what's gonna make you special? What's gonna make you super unique? There's a business, I think it's Rock-A-Block. You can put your phone over it and it tells stories like with animation. They do like Black History stories and stuff. It's being sold in now like museums. So special, right? Can you put a QR code on a shirt? Has anyone done that?
Yes.
Okay, super cool, right? Can you customize the neck label of every shirt of an online store with the customer's name? How weird would it be if you ordered a shirt from online and it had your name inside it? Right? But that's totally doable with DTF. Could you maybe build an app so that people can upload pictures of their dog and you are the dog whisperer shirt company? That's another niche. Right? Could you heat press in high schools? Maybe your business is I'm going to teach high schoolers how to heat press, right? And I'm going to actually put heat presses in high schools, and we're going to run the whole Spirit store all from a high school. Maybe you're going to create a sip and print experience. Has anyone done the paint and print or paint and thing? Maybe you're going to open up a store where people bring their own wine and pay $50 a person, and you're gonna learn how to make shirts. Maybe there's a niche there. Maybe you're gonna make graduation stoles.
Yep.
Okay, there's another one, right? Maybe you're gonna be an educator or a blogger or an influencer, and you're gonna help others, right, about the space. Maybe you're gonna become a tech in the space. When you become an expert in something, you can then really productize it and niche into it. And so if your business was to sell transfers to others, I would challenge you today to figure out what is going to make you special, because if you're special, you're going to last. And so for me, I would always just say, like, these are kind of my things that I tell myself is like, create a thoughtful path for your business. It's okay if you don't have a plan. I'm not going to tell you today I have a beautifully written out business plan. My best ideas come to me in the most random times, and they slightly alter our business plans. And if I don't act on them, I might miss the opportunity to be successful. So it's not like you need something that's bulletproof and ironclad, but you should chart a thoughtful path. Be okay with the unknown. It's okay, it's scary. Those emojis that I had up there on the first slide, you're gonna be sad, mad, happy, angry, glad. Just embrace that those are gonna be emotions of entrepreneurship. Learn to say yes, and if you're more of a no person, say yes a little bit more. And if you're a yes person, learn to say no. And learn to say, that's not my niche, I gotta stay straight and narrow here. This is my North Star. Go fast and break things. This is the most fun I have. Right? This is Steven. I love to go fast and I love to break things. But if you don't break things, you don't iterate fast enough, you don't learn fast enough, right? The story I use is the reason Elon Musk and SpaceX is knocking out NASA is not because they have better scientists, it's that they blow up rockets faster. They make mistakes faster, and they're willing to get back up and blast it off again, right? And understand your worth and your well-being. All right, and so there's no business you should sacrifice for your well-being, and your mental health, and your livelihood, and your family, and those things we can't take back with time. right? And then it's also what your worth is, right? There's only so much constitution for pain and sacrifice that you should put yourself through. And so you should be conscious of that to make sure you love yourself through the entire process. I email with Mark once a week. He's really funny and candid, just like you see him on TV. I'm going to be on Shark Tank tonight, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. Remember, it's not sales that are important, it's gross margin dollars and profits. Leave the unprofitable sales for others to choke on.
Thanks for his email.
What's up?
Thanks for his email.
Oh, it's public. That's how I got it. Yeah. Yeah. He might answer. You could take a picture, send it to me, and say, I hate this guy. No, his email is public. You can email him. He responds back sometimes. But yeah, he's candid and real. But what he kind of keeps telling us is keep focusing on what you're doing, keep building your relationships, make sure you're making money along the way, and don't worry about anything else. And that's what I got for y'all today. Questions?
Have you found success in finding good throughput capacity in a printing or in a press system?
Yeah, so we use pneumatic presses. They're the double station transfer ones. I'm sure there's a couple companies that have painted them some different colors and sell them again. If you know someone, you can figure out where to buy them direct. We buy them, so we have about 20 of those running. And the way we do it is every shirt gets hit twice, but no heat press hits a shirt twice. So if you're a first presser, you have to make sure you line up the transfer. But if you're a second presser that's unskilled, you only have to put it on there and just hit it quick and send it to the next one. But we try to hit, I think, 70 to 80 impressions an hour would be sweet, which could end up being only like 30 to 40 pieces if you're doing front and back. But yeah, it works. I like those heat presses. We also have a rotating heat press that we use for like community orders. We love that one. That's our favorite one. So I think there's a couple out there as well. Get a good heat press though. Don't cheap out on it.
Color profiling, because you got to get specific colors for all these schools, right?
Yeah.
You were able to adjust the RIP software to hit all those color profiles?
Yeah, so there's this thing called a NIX. It's like this smart sensor thing. And it was really hard to get our color profiles down. Now, as screen printers, we use Pantones. In the DTF world, that doesn't exist. And so when you're talking to people in DTF, they're like, huh? And so what we actually did is we screen printed our hard Pantones that we know, like Purdue Gold, or Iowa State Maroon, or whatever, or Ohio State Red. And then we basically get our profile to try and match that. And then that's our color profile, if you will. But that's where we use all the same ink. So I'll give you an example. We have 3 that run like Mongoose and kind of the Epson print heads, and then we have 1 Mamaki. The Mamaki does not do anything that's collegiately licensed because we haven't profiled it to the other machines yet. But yeah, it's not easy to do. You have to take your time and do it. And it takes a lot of experimenting. The first month, we just had walls covered with different colors. But yeah. Marshall.
So, excellent presentation.
Thanks, Marshall.
So, talk about how instead of selling on price and being commoditized, you really focus more on selling the experience and the emotional aspect of what you're doing to hook the buyer more. Because I think a lot of people get really caught up in the race to the bottom because we're all competitive people. But if we offer a better experience, then you're going to have a more moat-worthy kind of business. Talk about how you guys have morphed that throughout your business.
Yeah, so we print on a Gildan 13. It's a 1301. It's a $4 shirt, but let's just call it a Gildan 5000 because there's a $250 today, $240. How much do you think we sell it for online? $39.99. We sell a Gildan 18500 or an SF 500 for $59.99. We sell a crew neck for I think $49.99 or $53.99. Hoodies $59.99. Yeah. We sell a $12 sublimated jersey for $109. Because merch is an experience for our athletes, right? And so what we've done is every single school that we're at has its own Instagram. And that Instagram is run by students, like Barstool does it. You know Barstool, it's fun. And when merch drops happen, the athletes collaborate with that page. And so if you're at Arizona and it's Caleb Love, is that the guy? Whatever. He's got 150,000 followers. So we just collaborate with him. It goes out to his page, to all of his fans, and you're buying directly from the influencer, if you will. And so we leverage our audience and we kind of put them in that position. Now we pay them really well. Our athletes make 20%, okay? And so you see the girls at LSU and UConn, Caitlin Clark, they make a couple $100,000 a year. They're very well off with what we do. But we get really creative with them, and we actually charge a premium because of that. So that's our very specific niche. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
Have you noticed a difference from, so for example, I typically buy my prints. Now I'm looking into being an operator instead of a purchaser. Have you noticed a difference from color pigmentation from PC Mac?
I think we all use Macs, so I don't know. But when you say like you order all your transfers, these companies, Supacolor, you know, Howard, they're going to nail colors better than I'm ever going to nail them.
Okay.
And you know, I think you raise a really good point. Is you're transitioning from ordering transfers to bringing them in-house, is what it sounds like. How much do you think you should be spending on transfers every month until you decide to bring it in-house? What's the threshold, do you think?
That's what I'm trying to.
Let's think through this. This is a really good exercise. This is a really great question. A machine costs 40 grand, okay? 4 grand a month. Those machines will break. So let's just assume every year you're gonna spend, you know, 40 grand a year on a new machine, okay? That's 40, right? You're gonna buy film, ink, and all that good stuff. It's a couple $1,000s here and there. It's probably $1,000 a month, right? We go through a roll a day. Okay, a roll is 200 some dollars. We buy them by the pallets. So now you're in 60 grand a year, okay? Now what's your time worth, right? Say you wanted to hire an employee. For us, we hired an employee, 20 bucks an hour. That's $40,000 a year. So just right there, to buy one machine actually costs you about $80,000 to $100,000 a year to run. Now everyone looks at the price tag, goes, once I buy it, I'll just start paying it off. No, there's a cost associated to this. And there's a convenience associated to hitting a button and having transfers show up at your doorstep, right? And so I tell shops all the time, you know, I have to have a DTF because I need to be able to do one item, I have to be able to do it quick, and I have the volume to support it. But if you're not spending $8,000 to $10,000 a month for a consistent period, keep ordering those transfers. They'll buy more machines for you, they'll have more ink, you're supporting the GDP of the industry, but don't put that pain on yourself. So it's a very, I think a lot of people are in that. And that's actually why all my friends in the industry are like, we're not doing it. We're good, right? So, yeah.
That was going to be my second question. If what I'm doing is working, should I switch? Because that's, like I said, I'm used to buying transfers. I'm looking at here, I'm like, oh, these people I can buy from. Because for me, I don't have the hassle of break, fix. I'm like, hey, how soon can you get it to me? Great. I can tell my customer a couple more days after that, and there it is.
Yeah, I think people can get transfers next day. If you're in a sweet spot, keep selling. Keep selling. Yeah, focus on sales, focus on growing your top line. You know, one of my friends' family industries, they spend $1 million a year at Supacolor. They do some of the coolest live activations. They will heat press on Nikes at the Super Bowl, like insane stuff. And Max and they're like, we're trying to do so many technical things and focus on selling. We're just gonna not think about it and we're gonna buy transfers and focus on that. Okay. There's a lot of wisdom there. That's like good self-control. So, yeah.
What's your best prediction on how much time it'll be before Walmart sells a desktop DTF printer to the consumer?
I think it's like Cricut.
Yeah.
Right? Cricut is a multi-billion-dollar industry built on a community of stay-at-home parents and crafters, right? And so I'm more concerned about when Cricut comes out with a DTF. But at the same time, what is their market? Are they going to be selling to them? You know, that's still a hobbyist and a crafter. It depends on if your business is enterprise at that point, and you know. But yeah, that's a very good point. So I think it's in a matter of, I bet you Cricut's already got it.
They've already tried. It's like a DTV.
It's going to come. It'll be Cricut's. They're not dumb. So yeah.
In your presentation, you talk about a race to the bottom. And I'm not necessarily sure I understand whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Bad.
Well, but here's the thing. You kind of said that, hey, if someone wants to heat press a transfer, I'll sell them the heat press.
Right.
So in a way, just like at Purdue, what you did there, you are kind of accelerating that race to the bottom in a way.
I have a very specific, I'm looking at the transfer. I actually give them, like the transfers are almost like free as long as they buy the shirts and the blanks from me. And they have to because it's a license. When I mean a race to the bottom, we see this a lot in our printing industry, and probably Marshall can answer this better than I can. When you get into the printing industry, you can print for others or you can print for yourself. When you start printing for others, you're printing on contract. So you're printing for $1 per side, $2 per side, 50 cents per side. And you have to keep these machines spinning hard and fast to make money. It's a labor and a service game, right? And in our industry, in the screen printing side of things, you know, the big contract shops just get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, right? And then the smaller guys try to compete and they don't realize their pricing is all whack. They're not making money, and it drives it down. Now, a lot of screen printers recently are like, I don't contract print anymore. I bet you of people that Marshall works with, he'll advise them, hey, let's get out of contract printing and move more to retail because it's unprofitable work that you think is feeding your machine. I think that's kind of the warning. I don't know, Marshall, do you see it?
Yes, I say that almost every day.
Cool. Subscribe, like, comment, share. What else?
You touched on this idea of like working on the tech side,
Mm-hmm.
And it strikes me that many people in here already know like the art side and have metal and maybe a little bit of technical stuff. But
Right.
Can you explain more like where we could learn how to service the machines, how to become techs, basically?
I think, from my understanding, is like DTF Superstore has a whole academy now that you can actually put your employees through to learn how to change a print head, how to do a damper, how to do a bulb change, how to do all those things. So I think as the industry progresses, there's going to be more and more education and resources and all that coming out. But like my employees have to watch those videos for their training. And I think DTF Superstore does like days where you can go there and learn, boot camps, fly your team there, go there, live on their floors, you know, because you have, in this like growing technology, you have to learn how to tech your own machines.
So when you decide like when you guys get to a capacity, you're trying to decide what to outsource, what do you do? Do you outsource like long runs or?
That's a good thing, yeah. So we actually, 50 pieces over 2 colors is a transfer now at Campus Ink. That's a new rule that we kind of have is it's easier to heat press 50 shirts, whatever, faster. So we'll do like community orders that we have lead time, we'll sub those out. And then what we'll do is every day as orders come in online, we'll take the orders that were ordered today and we'll order like 100 of that batch so that if those come in 3 days, we can still 3 to 5 days ship them, if that makes sense. So we're kind of randomizing on purpose. There's some, I don't know, tech logic to it, but yeah.
You mentioned training. What does a typical new employee spend on training when they start a troop shop?
At Campus Ink, your probably first week is videos, training, documents. There's a buddy system, worksheets that you're working through. I have a pretty high OCD standard of how I like things done, and our training is like probably one of the most important things. We have good people. We don't have a lot of turnover, but we demand a lot from our people, and we also support them really well. We pay them really well. Everyone has healthcare and insurance. Our entire office has unlimited PTO. We take really good care of them, but we train them a ton. So, yeah. All right, one last one. Okay, we gotta go. What's up?
Out of the DTF printers that you've used, what would you say is the most efficient or?
My favorite right now is for stability and consistency is the Mamaki. Yeah, they have been building printers for years. Just trust them, yeah. All right, thank you all so much.